What's up, nerds, and welcome to the Nerd History Podcast, a proud part of the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network, and your home for celebrating the nostalgia that shaped nerd culture. Today, I'm Radio Matt, the Director of Content and Resources for Love Thy Nerd, and with me today and forevermore is my amazing bride, Deidra.
Hey, what's up?
We are the Nerd Historians, and today on the show, we are taking a look at the history of Groundhog Day, a classic comedy that released in theaters 32 years ago.
Why do you have to say that?
February
Stop saying
12th,
the year they released.
1993. How old were you in 93?
93. I wasn't even born yet.
Oh, sure.
I'm
yeah.
so young.
Yes. I believe I was 8.
I was 6.
7 or 8 at the time. I guess 8.
Yeah.
Now, before we dive into the history of this movie, I would like to talk about Groundhog Day in general.
And how much you love it?
Deidra and I started talking about this the other day, and it's something that I've been complaining about for the longest time. We're doing Groundhog Day backwards. The whole idea is that on February 2nd, Punxsutawney Phil comes out of his stump and looks for his shadow. And if he sees his shadow, he runs back in fear into the hole. And it's forecasted that we will have 6 more weeks of cold weather. If he doesn't see his shadow, spring will come early. But that doesn't make any sense. If he sees his shadow, that means the sun is out, and it's likely warmer. If he doesn't see his shadow, that means it's overcast and cold. So it should be the opposite. A shadow means early spring. No shadow means cold weather, and I can prove it. The groundhog is currently only right 39% of the time. 39%. If the meanings were correct, he'd only be wrong 39% of the time, which would make him right 61% of the time, which, and this is new information for you, because we've already had this conversation, which being right 61% of the time, it might not sound like a lot. But it's a very long range forecast, right? 6 weeks. He's looking into 6 weeks into the future.
Right.
Currently, professional weather forecasters are only right about 50% of the time, just looking 10 days ahead.
Wow. Okay.
Punxsutawney Phil could be the most accurate meteorologist in the world if we would just flip those meanings. Let's move on. Groundhog Day is a classic movie, right? Where does it rank on your list of comedies?
I would say it's one of the top ones.
Yeah.
Both because it's so great and the nostalgia, I think. Because I grew up watching it.
Fairly family friendly. Like, there's some curse words in it, but it doesn't really get gross at any point.
I'm just... Some of those I don't know about because, we recorded them off TV and they were more... and I thought they were family friendly. And then I see the original. I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no. So
I'm going to backtrack that saying, too, because I might be wrong. Because I thought the same thing about Scrooged.
Right.
When I went several years without having watched it. And then I watched it and I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
There's a lot to that that I didn't think about. Anyway, in my mind, it's family friendly.
Right.
It is technically an American fantasy comedy film.
Okay.
This is slightly in the realm of fantasy.
Fantasy.
Yes.
I don't know who would fantasize about repeating the same day over and over.
You usually think of things like, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. Yeah, I guess that would be fantasy as well. Director Harold Ramis and Danny Rubin did the screenplay, starring Bill Murray, Andie MacDowell, and Chris Elliott. Andie MacDowell also did a fantastic job. I haven't seen a whole lot of Andie MacDowell movies. It's like this.
Remind me who that is.
The girl in the movie.
Oh, see, I was trying to think of another male.
This
character.
And I think Michael. Was she the girl in Michael? where John Travolta was an angel that came down.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't allowed to watch that. Sir.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was very non-biblical.
Not allowed to watch that. Was she the same? Was that Multiplicity?
She is the wife in Multiplicity, too. Yeah. Okay. Multiplicity is good. I watched that this year. Or last year, I guess. Within the last year. So here's the plot. If you haven't seen it, which, if you haven't, what's wrong with you? It follows Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray, a cynical TV weatherman assigned to cover the Groundhog Day event in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And he becomes trapped in a time loop, reliving February 2nd over and over and over again. He is forced to change his selfish behavior and ultimately become a better person. Mm-hmm. This also produces a romantic storyline with Rita, which is Andie MacDowell. Mm-hmm. Eventually reaching to the point where he has become such a good person, I guess, that it triggers his escape from the time loop.
Right.
This was back when you didn't have to have some sort of convoluted explanation for the wonky thing that's happening.
Right. We just accepted
and it was fine.
And went with the story.
Right.
Didn't need the science behind it.
We don't. And I don't care that there was no answer. Why did this happen? The universe made it happen. Whatever.
It was
just enjoy it.
Highly critical of him to be a good person, or we were all going to die.
Who knows? Who knows?
Do you ever have deja vu, Mrs. Lancaster?
I don't think so, but I could check with the kitchen.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
So this was Danny Rubin's concept. He conceived of it in the early 90s. He wrote a spec script for it to try and get Hollywood exposure. Like, this was the first thing he really kind of wrote and tried to push out there. Oh. Initially, the movie was a very dark movie. Like, this gets dark. Like, this has the scenes where he's, like, giving up and attempting to take his own life only to wake up again. Mm-hmm. They did it comedically, but still kind of, like, when you're really taking in what's happening, oh, man.
Like, you literally cannot escape.
But, like, he's going through every kind of death.
Right. Right.
And then waking right back up again.
Yeah.
But when Harold Ramis joined in, they tried to make it a little bit more comedic, a little bit more accessible. And then Bill Murray kind of went back on that a little. He wanted a little bit more deeper philosophical approach, while Harold still wanted the more comedy aspect, and this kind of caused a little bit of friction between the two, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis.
Oh, okay.
Who had previously worked together on Caddyshack and Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Filmed from March to June of 1992 in Woodstock, Illinois. Not Punxsutawney.
Well.
Yeah.
What a shame.
It still was bitterly cold. All of that weather was real weather. All that snow was real snow. It was freezing.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. It earned over $105 million. It was one of 93's highest grossing films.
Wow.
Which seems rare for a comedy these days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, you get your Avengers movie, even the crappy ones are still going to make it more than that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But back then, big deal. It was praised for blending sentimentality and cynicism at the same time. It had multiple award nominations. It won the BAFTA Award for Best Original Screenplay. It is widely considered to be among one of the greatest comedies of all time, and a landmark 90s era film, like a one of those 90s defining films, you know? Mm-hmm. It kind of introduced the idea of fantasy elements in a comedy. It was one of the first to really do that popularly. Yeah. Which became a more common thing moving forward. Groundhog Day is now, the phrase Groundhog Day is now synonymous with monotonous repetition. Like, it's a cultural landmark there. Mm-hmm. There have been many different religious allegories, like, you know, Buddhists, Christians, Jewish scholars, all of them have utilized this movie as object lessons to teach a lot of ideas about faith.
That's cool.
And growth and things of that nature. It is selected by the U.S. Library of Congress for the National Film Registry in 2006, which is where they take the best of the best films and like preserve them. There has been a musical version of Groundhog Day that came out in 2016 and a video game sequel that I've never heard of, so it must be horrible, called Groundhog Day Like Father, Like Son.
Oh, gosh.
I'm really going to have to dig into that to see how it is.
Wow.
So, time loop. Time loop mechanic. Not the first thing to use it. Like there was at least one other fairly popular thing that had used it a few months before it came out. But clearly this was the most popular original use of the time loop mechanic in storytelling. How many times?
Oh.
Like how long was he stuck in the time loop?
How many days?
Yeah, has been this huge debate.
I remember that.
Harold Ramis, the director, gave the answer somewhere between 10 and 10,000 years.
Holy cow.
So he basically not giving you an answer.
Okay.
But whatculture.com sat down and really tried to figure it out.
And counted.
They used... No, they went beyond the in the movie itself. We see 38 loops.
Okay.
414 more are implied. So,
and that would be like him learning piano and
well, I mean, no, the implied are just like the way he's literally saying, this many days or this much time had passed.
Okay.
What they did to try and figure out how long he was in there was based on how long it would take to master the piano to that level, how long it would take to master French or at least memorize a book of French poetry, to learn how to ice sculpt.
Right.
At the professional level that he was at.
Yeah.
To do all of the things that he did in, millisecond accurate movements. And they figured by the end that he was actually looping for 12,395 days.
Holy
or approximately 33 years.
Holy cow. It took this man 33 years to become a good person. Is that what I'm hearing? So there's hope for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that idea, spoiler alert for The Good Place, if you haven't seen The Good Place yet, what's wrong with you? But that is kind of where they ended up in their idea of the afterlife, was that if you died and you weren't good enough yet, we're going to keep at it. Keep going until you get good enough to enter into the good place.
Okay, hang on. So you can never tell a woman to smile? What if she'd legitimately be prettier if she smiled? Aren't I helping her?
Yeah.
And to the point where pretty much everybody goes, but some of them are staying for a lot longer. So many more Baramies.
It's Jeremy Baramy. I don't know what to tell you. That's the easiest way to describe it.
This broke me.
The cause of the loop, like we said, is never explained. It's just contributes to the mystique of the film. There has been quite a lot of impact on Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, the actual city that actually puts on this event every year.
Good impact?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah. So annual visitors increased from before the movie to after the movie, increased from 5,000 to 35,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And still is pretty high. I don't think it's that high anymore, but it definitely was for quite some time after the movie.
Okay.
Bill Murray and the crew actually made visits to Punxsutawney for authenticity and research. Bill Murray was praised as friendly and engaging with fans during the time. He was really pivotal in popularizing the real Groundhog Day celebration to a wider scope.
Okay.
I don't know how big of a pull the Groundhog in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania had. I don't remember ever hearing about it when I was a kid on the news like we hear about it now. But I don't know. I was a kid, so I don't know for sure.
I was 6. I have no idea.
But it was much more popular as the movie went on. Some
they
fun
teach
facts
about it in school. Did they used to do that?
I don't know.
That's just a weird thing to learn in school.
Yeah,
about Groundhog.
But I mean, it is an official holiday. Yeah, it's just I don't know. Well, I guess it would have to be. I should have researched the holiday itself a little bit more. Like, I was about to say who knows about this one town's little celebration of Groundhog Day, but I'm like, wait, that might be the whole holiday. The whole holiday is based on this little town's thing of Groundhog Day.
His mind's just been blown.
It would have to be, right? Like when I think about President's Day, I don't think this whole holiday was created for that mattress sale. You know? That mattress sale is just a thing that happens during President's Day. And that's how I've been thinking of the Punxsutawney thing. That's just something they do on Groundhog Day because it's Groundhog Day. But there is no other thing that I can think of that would start that. My mind really is blown at the moment. I've never put 2 and 2 together for that before. And I feel really dumb. Oh, man.
It's just something they do for Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day comes around, they pull out the groundhog over there in Pennsylvania. You know, they just have fun over there. But that's a regional thing, obviously. So, gracious sakes, I'm stupid sometimes. As Murray's character evolved to be a much better human being, when Harold would explain a scene, Murray would simply ask, good Phil or bad Phil? So he knew what direction to take with the scene. Murray was bitten twice by the groundhog while filming and even needed to get a rabies shot just in case.
Good gracious.
Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry.
Punxsutawney Phil himself was not used in making this film, but it was a live groundhog. In fact, the film wasn't shot in Punxsutawney at all. Like we said, it was in Woodstock, Illinois. And during the scene downtown with Ned Ryerson, a sign for Woodstock Jewelers can be seen in the background.
Phil? Hey, Phil?
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Phil? Ned!
Ryerson!
Ramis.
He's one of my favorite characters in that movie.
He's good and he's barely in it, really.
Right. So
Screen time is like less than 5 minutes. Ramis, Murray, and Stephen Tobolowsky, which was Ned Ryerson, have been honorary grand marshals in Punxsutawney on Groundhog Day.
Ooh, that's
Each of them separately.
That's cool.
Other famous actors were considered for the lead of Phil Connors that Harold Ramis thought were too nice, including Chevy Chase. I don't think that man has ever been described as too nice.
Right.
I don't get it.
Steve Martin, sorry. Robin Williams and Michael Keaton.
Who's Michael Keaton?
The other guy in Multiplicity.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the main guy in Multiplicity.
Right.
The multiple.
Yeah, I got it.
He played 4 roles.
The guy.
In that movie.
The Multiplicity guy. Got it.
Keaton allegedly turned down the role because he said it seemed too confusing. And then he went on to do Multiplicity.
That's funny.
Freaking funny.
That's pretty funny. Does he laugh about it?
I don't know, but I've got to find out if he's ever been asked that question. So you turned down Groundhog Day because you thought it was too confusing. But then you played 4 versions of yourself in one film. There were scenes where there were 4 actors on screen and all of them were you. And this wasn't too confusing? Come on, Batman.
You had to remember which duplicate you were? Yeah.
Yeah, Steve. During the making of Groundhog Day, Bill Murray was drawn to the film's philosophical and introspective themes, wanting to delve deeper into the existential crisis of Phil Connor's repeated day. Harold Ramis, on the other hand, saw the movie primarily as a comedy and insisted on a lighter, more accessible tone. These differing artistic visions caused frequent on-set conflicts. While creative clashes aren't unusual in filmmaking, the tension between Ramis and Murray became personal. Murray's insistence on reworking scenes to emphasize introspection and Ramis's desire to maintain comedic pacing led to those heated disagreements, but this friction was also exacerbated by Murray's personal life at the time, as reports suggest he was going through something privately that was very stressful, which I don't know for sure what that was and won't speculate. This may have intensified his reaction on set. I know when I'm going through personal stuff, I yell a lot louder. The rift became so severe that by the end of filming, the two longtime collaborators, who again had worked together on Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, big movies, well, they were barely speaking to each other by the end. In fact, even though Groundhog Day was a critical and commercial success, it effectively ended their professional relationship and personal relationship. That's a bummer. Murray and Ramis did not speak for more than 20 years after that movie wrapped up. They only reconciled because Harold Ramis was on his deathbed in 2014, and Murray visited him to say goodbye and patch things up before it was too late, which is sad.
That is sad.
Nice that he did that.
Right.
But still, sad circumstances. They have since, paid homage to him, especially in like the newer Ghostbusters movies and things of that nature. And that's kind of why there wasn't a Ghostbusters 3 for the longest time.
Okay.
Is because they could never get on that page where they were willing to work together. At least one of the issues. Poor Dan Aykroyd. He was trying. He was trying to get them all in there. So the Groundhog Day trope, again, really popularized by this movie and has been used fairly effectively in many, many more films. And when you look up like films that use the repeated day over and over thing, there are some that I think don't qualify.
Okay.
What doesn't qualify are things that like the person's time traveling and they're doing it on purpose.
Okay.
I think it would have to be it's not in your control. Or at least you don't know that it's in your control and you have to figure out how it started and how to end it.
Okay.
You can't just be like, well, I screwed this up. Let's try again. That's not, it's a similar mechanic, but it's not the same mechanic.
Right.
There's no mystique to that.
You can get out of it at your own will.
Right. Exactly. You can stop it. But here's some movies that were different. And they span so many genres. And I find it exciting. And I think we've seen all but one of these.
Okay.
So the first one I have on the list is Edge of Tomorrow, where Tom Cruise repeats a day in a war against aliens over and over again. Do you remember that one?
I don't think I ever saw it.
You never saw Edge of Tomorrow with the big suit that he's in at the end, like the big mech suit?
I think I remember like refusing to see it, thinking it was too scary.
Oh. There was some dark humor and there was some sci-fi action, but it wasn't too scary. Aliens are gross, but they're always gross in those kind of movies. Yeah, anyway, it was a really good movie. Emily Blunt in there. Oh, it was good. It was a really good movie. You should probably watch it. It was good. Yeah. Naked, starring Marlon Wayans, who relives his wedding day by the beginning of every day starts with him opening up in a elevator door opens up and he's naked in the elevator. And that's how it starts over and over again. We saw this on Netflix. I think it might be a Netflix original. I'm not sure on that. But we saw this on Netflix when we were on our big cross-country trip. We were in a hotel. We were in St. Louis for 2 nights. And so that first night, we were like, hey, you can sign in it was like a new thing. You can sign in to Netflix here.
Right.
That's cool. I think we started a Netflix account just because we could have it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we watched. We watched Marlon Wayans in a time loop movie. It was great. I remember laughing really hard and thinking this is much funnier than I expected it to be. In the horror genre, we've got Happy Death Day. So this is Jessica Ralph's character is repeatedly attempting to prevent her own murder.
Okay. I think I accidentally saw the end of this.
Oh, okay. The end.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So it was recent when I was in St. Louis. How weird is that?
Huh?
By myself.
You're repeating the thing over and over again.
And I was getting ready for our meeting in the morning, and I'm by myself, so I turned on the TV to have it playing while I was getting ready, and like nothing else was on. And then I turned on this movie, and it was like, it looked like the end of a movie where this girl has figured out her life and is being nice to everybody, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll just halfway listen to this. And then all of a sudden, she's like getting murdered. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? And then she wakes up and it's like another day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a weird version of Groundhog Day.
I really think I need to see it.
I agree.
I didn't.
It was really good.
I didn't think
and I
wanted
won't
to
spoil
see
the
it.
ending.
Okay, I didn't think I wanted to see it at all until it was popular enough that it already has a sequel.
Oh wow! Okay.
With the same girl, and now her friends are caught in the loop too, apparently.
Oh.
And so I know she lives in the first movie. Spoiler.
Well, I mean, I won't.
But I do think I want to see it. So
you should.
Seems funny.
It did get a little creepy.
Well, I'm sure it's a
I think there was
comedy.
like a clown face. So I'll just warn you.
Oh no, I knew that. I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't like clowns.
I don't like clowns. Do not like clowns. Do not like them.
And it ended up being a really freaky thing to watch while I was getting ready to go to a meeting.
But the fact that you're telling me that I should watch it is a big deal because you don't like scary
That's
movies.
True. And I might have missed a lot of, like I saw just the
I'm sure
end
there was quite a bit.
scary part. I might have missed all the beginning, Who knows how many times she got killed and I didn't see it.
Probably a lot. Next one, Palm Springs with Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti. I don't know how to say her last name. Milioti, trapped in a wedding day loop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Much different than the Marlon Wayans movie. That was like his wedding, wasn't it? His wedding day.
I think so.
This one is their guests at a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very depressing. Like it's very personal trauma focused.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. It's Andy Samberg. It's funny.
Right.
But it's like like we join him in the I've given up stage that Bill Murray was at. He's like, tried it, can't do anything, can't figure it out. But then she accidentally gets sucked into it as well because he knew how it started. He knew how he got into the loop. But they couldn't figure out how to get out of it. Remember, it was like the weird cave or whatever that she accidentally went into.
Was it a cave? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then she accidentally got stuck into it as well, and then it was now her at the beginning trying to get out while he had already given up.
That's right.
There's a lot more to this version, and then they do like trying to figure out a sciencey way to get out, and it's very clever. It was very good. I think it was a Hulu original. If not, it's on Hulu exclusively. That was very good. And then this one I think you saw before me. At least I think it was you. The Map of Tiny Perfect Things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it and said, you need to watch this.
Right. Which is two teens
Which is very
that are stuck.
rare for us to see something before him. For me to see something before him. Very rare.
Two teens stuck in a... Well, I wouldn't have watched this not knowing
what it was, Right.
Just from the picture, it looks like Fault in Our Stars, or something like that. Like,
Gotcha.
Okay, it's probably good. A lot of people say it's great. Not my cup of tea. But you told me it was a time loop thing, and it was. It's pretty good. Two teens stuck in a time loop, referencing Groundhog Day and Edge of Tomorrow directly. Focuses on a romance, growing up, finding the perfect moments. It was good. I liked it. All of these I would recommend. Except, you would recommend one of them that I didn't know you had seen part of it.
If you're into scary.
If you're into, of course.
Yeah.
If these are your cup of tea, all of those I would recommend. So Groundhog Day remains a classic, blending comedy, philosophy, romance, while inspiring countless homages. Its mysterious time loop, heartwarming transformation story, and cultural significance have cemented it as one of the most beloved comedies of our childhoods and of all time, quite frankly.
So, are you fixing to end? Because I have a little question for you.
You can pipe in the name. You are equal parts host of this show. You don't need permission.
That's not true.
To ask a question. That's right. Yours is the only one that says co-host. It's like on Scrubs, that brief period of time where JD and Elliot were like the chairs of medicine or whatever, and they were supposed to be sharing the job equally, but his sign kept saying co-chair on it.
What are you doing?
Just making it official. Chief, co-chief.
Now, you can try as hard as you want. That is never going to stick.
Oh, and that's co-chief resident Dorian over there.
So everyone thought he was just the assistant.
That's funny.
Anyway, what's your question?
So, those are the movies that have gone after it. But think about all the shows, all the TV shows that have done that time loopy thing.
As a episode, just like a one episode situation.
Yeah. I know Star Trek did it.
Stargate did it, one of the best. Remember that one?
If we don't find a way out of this soon, I'm going to lose it. Lose it. It means go crazy. Nuts. Insane. Bonzo. No longer in possession of one's faculties. 3 fries short of a happy meal. Wacko!
That was a fantastic episode.
Yeah. I wonder, did Doctor Who
I
ever
do
that?
I don't know about old Who. I don't think New Who has done a repeat episode. I know they've done a dream episode where they can't tell which one is reality, and they keep waking up and one going to sleep in the other. I can't recall a day repeating one. I mean, obviously there are days that repeat in a time travel thing, but I don't think it's like a stuck in a time loop situation.
Right. They're probably more like the Back to the Future kind of, I'm there working in the background while I'm also there doing something else,
Yeah, multiple things happening at once.
Yeah. Okay. I just remembered that, TV shows have done that too.
Yeah. I'm sure there's quite a lot of them that we're not thinking of. I'm sure most of them are sci-fi. Simpsons? Has Simpsons done a repeating day?
I feel like they would have had to by now. If they haven't, that's on that. I mean,
right. How have they not used every possible trope that's ever existed?
Right.
I'm sure they have done a repeating day. If maybe not in the main storyline, maybe on like a Treehouse of Horror kind of thing or something like that. But I'm sure there's one. There's got to be.
Right.
What was the Star Trek one? I can't remember that one.
Maybe I'm remembering Stargate. No. Oh, it was like they were playing cards, poker cards, and they were all like the whole ship was repeating the same day.
That's right. This was Next Generation, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm remembering
Geordi
like, eventually.
How do we know that? Yeah. And
I remember Geordi eventually like giving some of that. It's estimated that we've been here like 12 years or something like that. Like it was a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm remembering that now. Yeah. It's always fun.
It is.
That's the end goal. It's always fun to see people repeating, but they weren't aware they were repeating. Like they have to keep figuring it out. So that's a little bit different. Because normally it's the person that's aware of it.
No, that's different.
What were you about to say?
I was thinking, Doctor Who did do it with all the marks, but that was those creatures that made them forget.
Yeah, that's just they forget that they saw them. How many days have we been here? No, that's not it.
That's what they should have done.
Man. I feel like Doctor Who did it at some point. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think they did. I feel like I would know. I've watched it so many times. Hey, everyone. It is editor Radio Matt here after the show. And as a true Whovian, I feel obliged to correct myself. There is indeed an episode of New Who that is time loop based. And that is from the 12th Doctor's run, Peter Capaldi. Toward the end of his run, I believe, where he is searching for Gallifrey. It is an episode called Heaven Sent, where he's stuck in this big castle that's almost like this big puzzle box that he's got to solve his way to get to the end. But at the end is this giant, thick wall of, I don't know what, glass, salt, something. He's got to punch his way through this wall. And the progress that he makes punching through this wall is the only thing that doesn't reset every time this giant monster alien thing finds him and kills him. And so he keeps resetting over and over again, making little progress, punching through this wall until he eventually gets free. I believe it takes him thousands of years. It's a really good episode, especially if you're looking for time loop-based stuff to watch. Go check out Heaven Sent from the 12th Doctor's run. Back to the show.
Well.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't think so. But anyway, it is always fun. Sometimes it's a dream in like episodes. Sometimes it's just like a dream. They're repeating the same day over and over again. We got Christmas movies.
Christmas. Yes.
12 Days of Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Underrated, low budget Christmas movie starring the lesser of the two Wings guys.
The lesser of the two. So mean.
Hey, the other one went on to be Batman, so like the voice of Batman. He's always going to be the better of the... Oh, no, Superman. I'm sorry. Ha! Superman. Superman. So sorry.
You're going to get tarred and feathered.
Whew. Anyway.
The Mickey Mouse special thing that we watched with the kids with the 3 different stories, and the 3 ducks wish it was Christmas every day, and they're just experiencing Christmas over and over every day at Uncle Scrooge's.
I don't remember that one. I believe you that exists. I don't remember it. I don't think I've seen that enough to
That's the thing that you
memory.
said you watched all the time when you were a kid, and that our kids watch now.
The Mickey's Christmas special?
It's whatever. It's Disney Christmas special, and it's got the 3 different stories.
I didn't really watch the Disney Christmas specials. I watched 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I watched the Flintstones Christmas specials. There's 2 of them over and over again. Like, those were my big things.
Okay.
I didn't have Disney when I was a kid. It was a pay channel back then.
Could have swore.
I believe you that exists. I don't remember that.
I watched this growing up all the time, and so I make sure that the kids watch it every year.
No, the main mouse related thing was 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Okay.
You hope, and I'll hurry. Da da da. I love that one. Anyway, I had a thought, and I remembered an episode of something. Oh no, we're talking about Christmas movies. All right, so there was It's Christmas Again, I think, where the lady's stuck in a snow globe on the packaging. There's, I think, 2 or 3 different Christmas Every Day. They're all low budget. I think one of them might be a Disney movie, like a Disney Channel original movie, you know?
Yeah.
Those are always fun, but also lame because they're low budget. They're never like a big budget production.
Right.
But I do like 12 Days of Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Man. The trope it doesn't fail. It's a hit every time. Let's put it that way. Subscribe to the Nerd History Podcast via our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@nerdhistoryltn. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. if you like the audio version better. You can find us at lovethynerd.com/nerdhistorypod as well. We also have our daily Today in Nerd History video short and article that comes out every day at lovethynerd.com/nerdhistory and TikTok, YouTube, all the places. The article version has photos and nerdy facts. We will be back in March with a look at the oncoming storm, the bringer of darkness, the last of the Time Lords. But until then, I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Deidra.
And remember, in the past, present, and future,
Jesus loves you, nerds.
What's up, nerds, and welcome to the Nerd History Podcast, proud part of the Love Thy Nerd. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do the bit. Okay.
No.